Welcome to the Your Golf Performance Podcast, where we dive into the world of golf improvement and performance. I'm your host, Brent Dale, here to bring you insights from the game's top coaches, players, and experts. Whether you're a club golfer, elite player, or a seasoned professional, our goal is to help you elevate your game. Tune in each week for in-depth interviews, expert tips, and little gold nuggets that help us identify what makes the best in golf rise to the top. Let's get started and take your golf performance to the next level.
Welcome back to the Your Golf Performance Podcast. We're joined today with Ryan Crysler. He's a senior instructor at the Claude Harmon Floridian, Golf Digest top 50 coach in Florida. Ryan, thank you for taking some time out of your busy schedule to come and talk some golf coaching.
Yes, sir. Thank you for having me.
Do you want to just start by maybe just giving us a bit of a background on who you are and sort of how you got into golf as a youngster?
Yeah. So who I am right now, I'm the guy that works behind Claude Harmon, who you had on the podcast a few weeks ago when they were in Adelaide, probably a couple months ago now. And so my job right now is to make him as successful as he can be when he's at home off tour, and everyone around me as well. And so I'm a coach as well. I kind of run the show when he's gone, and I've been in golf basically since high school, right? So 16, 17, 18. I quit baseball to play golf, and I'm a big baseball fan. You can see the Texas Rangers right behind me.
I can see that in the background.
I work for the owner of the Astros, so don't tell anybody that I'm a huge Texas Rangers fan. We won the World Series last year.
Yeah.
But, I'm a kind of an athlete first when I was growing up. Baseball, swimming, and I kind of had a little bit of a late development in golf. I played when I was little, but I really got serious my sophomore year in high school. So when I was 14, 15, and turns out I probably should have played baseball a little bit longer because in golf you need to be the best athlete. And so I played golf from kind of my sophomore year on through high school. Played in college for a couple of years, not the full term. My coach in college at SMU in Dallas was Hank Haney. He was Tiger's coach a few years after I graduated.
Yeah.
And I've had a lot of luck in golf. I've happened to work for, being from Austin, Texas, I happened to work for Ben Crenshaw at his golf club. And that kind of got me in the door after my short professional playing career. And I got affiliated with Titleist pretty quickly. And through Titleist, I was able to become one of the first TPI level 3 golf pros with Claude, Cameron McCormick, and a couple other guys back in 2008. And through that relationship, the Titleist, and working for Ben Crenshaw, I was able to meet Claude because we actually hired him in Austin, Texas. And he stayed for about a year or so before he moved on to working for Trump, if you can believe. Before he opened his academy in Dubai. And long story short, when my golf club in Austin burned down in 2011, like it literally burned down, I was fighting fires for the month of September in 2011. So basically 13 years ago, and almost 14 years ago now. But I ended up not having really a golf place to call home because the place was literally on fire. My last session there in Austin was with George Strait. It was a club fitting. George Strait's a Texas country music singer, pretty famous in our country. And he's my last guy there. And then about a month or so later, Claude had opened the Butch Harmon Floridian Academy here in Florida. And I got the call to join him. And by Thanksgiving of 2011, I was here.
So that's November, right? Thanksgiving?
Yes, sir. November 2011. Yeah.
So wow. So obviously, they're like royalty, right? I've always been, even when I was a young junior golfer, I used to love seeing the Golf Digest magazine with Butch had done an article in it. I don't know. I was always drawn to coaching, and obviously having worked alongside, royalty. Coaching royalty, really. I know it's a funny way to describe it, but they're legends, right? What are some of the key takeaways you've learned from, say, Butch and Claude?
Yes, Butch and Claude are, they're cut from the same cloth. Butch is part of Four Brothers. Uh,
Yeah.
Butch's dad, Claude, CH1, kind of won the Masters in 1948, and that kind of started the Harmon dynasty, if you will.
Mm.
Um, I've met the other brothers. Did not meet Dick, who passed away a few years ago, Butch's brother Dick, but I've met all the brothers, and I've obviously worked with Claude. The Harmon gene is one of loud talking, storytelling, and just basically 70 years of working with literally the best players in golf, starting
Yeah.
from Ben Hogan all the way through to Brooks and DJ today. So a little bit of luck for sure, just being a part of the circle. Very grateful to be part of the circle. And yeah, we learn something every day from Claude when he's here, and especially when Butch is here. Butch is here maybe 4 to 5 weeks a year. He comes in for our cool club tournaments, and he's one thing that really sets them apart, and what most golf instructors typically don't have is Butch and Claude. They're entertainers.
Mm.
They
Good
actually
communicators.
know, yeah, they're entertainers, so they can keep you engaged, they keep you laughing. I always tell everybody that Claude would be an actor if he wasn't a golf coach.
Yeah, right.
Um, they're comedians, but they also happen to know just about everything, and they've seen just about everything in elite golf since 1940,
Yeah, wow.
48.
We're welcoming a new partner to the Your Golf Performance podcast. This will be a performance analytics partner, Circles, or Draw More Circles as you may know them, the ultimate tool for tracking your golf progress. Whether you're a junior golfer, college player or coach, the everyday club golfer, or a golf professional, Draw More Circles allows you to easily track and analyze your performance like never before. With their innovative performance analytics, you get insights into your game that go far beyond just the scorecard. From strokes gain metrics to detailed reports on every aspect of your play, you can pinpoint exactly where to focus your practice to improve faster. One of the best features that I've found with Circles is the course management tool, which will take your physical data to help you navigate around the course smarter. They're actually taking your stats that you've entered into the system and helping you strategically play a better game of golf. Plus, it's perfect for coaches who want to keep track of their players' development and offer data-driven advice. If you can't measure it, you're guessing. The best part is that as you are one of my listeners, you'll get exclusive access to their services through our partnership. These prices are too hot to mention, and I'll need you to email me. My email address is brentdalegolf@gmail.com, or feel free to message me on Instagram @brentdalegolf. We welcome Circles to the team. Sorry, did your coaching alter a little bit under their wings? Was there a few things that you weren't doing? Like, I know obviously you'd had a truckload of training and all that through TPI anyway, but is there anything that sort of altered once you started working? Did Butch turn around one day and go, "Hey man, you're doing that wrong. I need you to do it like this"? Or
Luckily, Butch has never said that. Maybe I could. He's
that's a
watched
good
me
thing.
coach a few times, yeah. But I would definitely accept any sort of critical feedback for sure. But I think the one thing that they have is based on their experience, and especially with Butch, his experience. Claude and I are a little bit similar in terms of our TPI knowledge and background, things like that. But basically, uh, you know, they just wait and deliver the answer without guessing.
Mm.
And sometimes it comes quickly for those guys. One of the tests that Butch's dad Claude had was, if you can't fix anybody in 5 minutes, you probably can't be a golf pro or a golf coach.
Mm.
So a little bit of that is true, but sometimes it takes me a little bit longer. And I've always been kind of a low talker, a slow talker, and just kind of a waiter. Just kind of wait until everything kind of falls into place for me to kind of deliver my advice or coaching. And I think Claude and I are TPI guys, so we can do the screens, we can do the 3D, we can do all the launch monitor stuff, all that stuff. Butch has all that knowledge too, but there's a little bit of an art that a lot of coaches just need to practice, and it takes for me, it's taken, I've been coaching since 2005, kind of full time, and I still don't think I'm there yet.
Yeah, it's
Butch has been
crazy, right?
coaching. Yeah, Butch has been coaching, forever. Claude's been coaching for forever. So Claude's about 10 years older than me, but
Yeah.
it just takes practice, takes craft. It's a lot of craft work. It's an interview. I have a degree in psychology from SMU. I have a degree in political science. Those degrees are all about people and learning about people and reading people. And I've studied. One of my dreams in college was to go to the FBI, and so I kind of did some prep work with the FBI in terms of profiling, and all of it just has helped me unlock puzzles, and I just try to figure out puzzles on a daily
Yeah, I
basis.
love that.
I've used lots of golf training aids and tools over the years, but Super Speed Golf really stands out to me. They've made it easy and efficient to gain speed in your swing with products that are backed by real research. These tools aren't just another gimmick. They've been verified by independent researchers and top coaches. Plus, their free online training programs have helped over 250,000 golfers worldwide take their swing speed to the next level. If you want to have more fun and improve your speed, check out Super Speed Golf. If you want to, you could use the code YGP20 at golfperformancestore.com.au to get a hefty 20% off anything in the store. It's the #1 speed training program in the industry for a reason. I personally use it with all the juniors that I coach, and it's so much fun seeing them try to reach their maximum speeds.
Can you know what? This is not written on the questions that I would have sent through, but
Okay.
can you, you want to just talk us through, like, a new student knocks on the door? What might be there's a lot of coaches that tune into this. What might be your process? So first day, first lesson, new student, want to talk us through your process of, like, do you start with a screening, or do you start by how do you go through a lesson?
Well, I'll tell you what. Since Brooks won the PGA last year, the process here has changed a little bit.
Yeah.
Meaning that it was literally crazy after he won the PGA. So you have all the live golf haters, whatever.
Yeah.
So there's a little bit of a security threat for a week or so after he won, and then the door just kept getting broken in. Basically, the phones were off the hook, the voicemails piled up, the emails piled up. Everybody wanted in to see Claude, right? And so basically, we just said enough is enough. Nobody's getting in on a phone call for sure, and we basically need to apply. You need to apply if you want to see us. So since basically June of last year, 2023, we've asked our players that want to come in for the first time. You have to fill out this extensive application. It's on our website, butchharmonfloridian.com. You have to apply. And that really filtered out a lot of the riffraff.
Yeah.
But to start a lesson for me, you have to go through that hurdle as well, right? So my advice first is after you've done kind of whatever it is, if maybe a few years, if you're just trying to build a business, right? Trying to figure out your identity, figure out what you're good at. My first lesson basically is just to listen. And it's about 3 hours, give or take, 2 to 3 hours, maybe a little bit more based on the level of the player. And I literally won't say anything. I'll ask questions for sure, but I'm just going to listen for a while. And with the caveat being that the player knows that we're not here just for an hour and get out, right? If you've made all these steps to get in to see our coaches at our academy, it's going to be a while, and we're not going to leave any stone unturned, right? So for me, and this is based on my college career too, my education in college, I'm just going to listen. It's my psych degree, just telling me, listening. What are they wearing? What do their clubs look like? What do the shoes look like? I look at everything, right? I can get real detailed, but I also can get real kind of macro too, and just listen to what we're trying to do here. And my job's kind of morphed into not just a golf coach, because I want to manage, or I do manage Claude's schedule here, and I kind of manage our learning center, which is not a huge operation. But
Yeah.
what it's really turned into is, my job is just to make Claude and the other coaches that we have on our staff as successful as they can be, and that
Yeah.
includes the players as well. So whatever I need to do to get your game to be better or to achieve what you want to achieve, I'm going to do it. I'm going to either assign you another coach, put you into our fitness trailer, send you to the chiro, whatever it is, send you to True Spec for a club fitting, whatever it is. I'm going to either utilize, my skill or someone else on our team to help you achieve whatever you want to achieve. And a lot of it is just listening. So I am not built for 1 hour lessons 6, 7, 8 times a day. Up north in New York in the med section up there, there's some clubs that are 30 minutes a lesson. And it's like, that's just not me. I'm Texas. I'm slow. I like music. I drink whiskey. I take it nice and slow. And I want to make sure before I say anything that I've got it right. And sometimes it comes quickly, and sometimes it comes slowly. But I'm going to listen. I'm going to watch. I'm going to film. I'm going to do force plates. I'm going to do 3D. I'm going to do flight scope, TrackMan, whatever. I'm going to get all the basics that all the coaches should know nowadays. But that's just a small part of it. Got to put everything together.
So are you just like collecting a whole bunch of data, learning the personality traits of this person? How do they carry themselves? How are they thinking? You sort of, even though you're kind of trying to tap into their brain, obviously what'd you say? You're a psych major, right? So you're trying to learn as much about that person, and then you're giving them some stuff at the end to go away and work on. But a lot of it is just figuring out who that person is and perhaps their learning style. Would you then match them up with a coach that probably would suit them the best? Or is that something that happens through your facility?
Yeah, for sure. We got a great staff of coaches. We're always looking to add people that are going to, add value to our team, add value to our experience. A lot of the coaches I work with, there are a lot of fitness guys that I work with. I learn a lot from their technique and their education too. And a lot of the golf, the trouble with players is they just can't physically do what they're trying to do.
Yeah.
And that's kind of TPI 101 for everybody who's listening. And that's Dave Phillips, Greg Rose. And they taught me back in 2004 when I met them the first time exactly what that body swing connection is. So there's the body swing connection for sure. There's an equipment problem for sure. But there's also a mindset. There's an attitude that we have to look at as well. And so I got a mind coach that I work with and refer people to, multiple fitness guys, multiple club fitters here in town.
So you guys are just doing the whole. It's not like the 30-minute come in, get your swing check up, and off you go. It's a full treatment, right? It's like going to the day spa and getting everything done.
Yeah, when you work with me, because we do basically 95% of our business is tournament players.
Yeah.
And then the other 5% is the club members. And the club members are great. It's more of I wouldn't say, some of them are great players. And some of them are getting ready for our tournaments too. But our members are great and they support us. But our bread and butter is basically the tournament player, the local tournament player. And those lessons are different than a member lesson, for sure. The member lesson is a lot of quick fact finding and a little bit of entertainment. That's what makes Claude and Butch so great too.
Your golf ball is the most technologically advanced, or it's not. Your golf ball is either the most consistent, or it's not. It's the most trusted, or it's not. The fact is, it's either Titleist, the best performing golf ball in the world, or it's not. Prove it for yourself. Titleist, the #1 ball in golf. What will you play?
Obviously, being like the right-hand man to Claude, what's a week look like for you? There's going to be people that are interested in this. Obviously
Sure.
he's traveling to events and that. How do you steady the ship at home when he's away?
Well, Florida is it's a weird state. We have what's called the season here, man. The season is basically officially, I'd say, November through April. And that's
Yeah.
when the weather here in Florida is kind of prime time. But if you're a golf coach, there is no season. It's just one season, right? It's all year round with
Yeah.
maybe 3 or 4 weeks of Q school, 3 or 4 or 5 weeks of off season. So there's multiple versions of a week here at the Flow. Um, During the summer, I've spent a lot of time, learning, looking inward, educating, still coaching our players that are basically out on tour, either remotely or what have you. But when we're in the thick of it, when we're basically getting our season started, tour wise, January, February, season wise, when the weather is perfect, January, February, 72 and sunny every day, Fahrenheit.
Yeah.
That's Celsius down there. But yeah, the week, the day to day basically is we have our own team of players. We've created our own basically professional team of golfers, and a majority of our time is spent with them, meaning that they occupy most of the schedule for one coach per day of the week. So I'm basically like a Tuesday and a Wednesday guy, and Nico, one of our other coaches, will take over Thursday, and then me and Claude kind of take over Friday. And basically, we have like this kind of core group of players that we really focus on. We call it Team Flow. And that group kind of goes through our serious golf professional training, which is most of the day. And that's basically, this year it's going to be a little more condensed, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. But when Claude's here, the tour players aren't here when Claude's here, right? So when Claude's here, he's off schedule, and that's when everybody else can get a piece of Claude. And
Yeah.
so with Claude, we've basically been able to have players come in for a full day. So we do 19, 20, 25 of those a year, where a player basically buys out his schedule for the day and spends the day with Claude. And those have been great for him because the last thing he wants to do is teach 6, 7, 8 hours a day, 6, 7 different people a day. He
Yeah.
needs to kind of decompress a little bit. So that works for him. We also have Nico is another coach. He comes in here a couple days a week. We have Josh, our trainer, who's here 3 to 4 days a week. We have Matt Gallant, who's another coach here, who's here full time with me. And then we got me. And we are basically, during those prime time part of the months here in the culture of Florida, it's everybody's coaching. We're coaching the team together. And then when it's one of our days not to coach the team, or another coach has the team, we will focus on our other business, our regular golf instruction business, which is either new players, that new player interview, which is 3 to 4 hours, or it's a player that Claude would spend the day with. Or it's other mini tour guys that are coming in from out of state too.
I believe the chat that I had with Claude, he mentioned about it's like a group element, right? Where how many kids or athletes are coming in?
Yeah, so with our team, we keep it around 10 or so. And, basically Claude, if you listen to Claude every time he comes back from a major, and every time, one of our guys wins a major, Claude's won 8. His players have won 8 in the past 13, 14 years or so since we've been here. They just manage the chaos of a major championship better than anybody else.
Yeah.
And so it's not technique. It's not putting in the hours of practice. It's literally managing the chaos. And so the last couple years plus, Claude and I have kind of started implementing chaos type training for golfers, meaning that it's not just TrackMan, get your path, blow it up, lay it down, all that stuff. It's not just a TPI screen. It's literally trying to simulate duress, right? Stress, and going out on the course or doing one of our drills in a much more intense environment. Because basically, all we really care about is how you play on the golf course. Everything we know about TPI and radar and 3D, that's all great. But what you can do on the golf course can overcome any of those limitations.
Yeah.
And we have last couple of years or so plus, it's been a little bit more in the works, but a little bit longer in the works. But basically, we will take somebody or the team and just put them through a game on the course. I think Claude talked about the one ball game, the last ball game, where you go out on the course, one ball in your bag. How long can you go?
Yeah.
Another version was that on our short course. How many holes can you go without losing the ball? Little things like that simulate duress and stress. Because a lot of my coaching knowledge and curiosity doesn't come from other golf coaches. It comes from other industries. It comes from the military.
Yeah.
It comes from college football. Which is American football in your country. It comes from professional football. It comes from other sports. It comes from other industries. And meaning that, the American military can take anyone from the middle of Iowa who grew up on a farm and can make that person an elite sniper in 2, 3, 4 years, right? Why can't we just take that same person and make them a scratch golfer 2, 3, 4 years? It's just a skill, right?
Yeah. You know what I like to hear about that, and this is great for the listeners and the parents, that you said 2 to 4 years, 2 to 4 years, not 2 to 4 weeks or 2 to 4 months, because I do think sometimes there is a disconnect. Like, hey, they've had 3 30-minute lessons in the last 12 months and they're still a 20 handicap. Why? Well, they're not putting in the work. Like, I think there is a big, and I mean, I reference this quite a lot on the pod. Social media is just spitting out this, like, everything's, like, someone may see Brooks Koepka post a photo in his mansion and just go, oh, well, it's just easy to get. But they're not seeing the work that goes into him having that mansion. I guarantee he's a hard worker, right?
Yes. I think a few years ago he talked about how he doesn't practice. He practices.
Yeah, it come across as a bit of a he was pretending to people that he doesn't practice.
I think he gets most of his effective practice in during the week of the tournament. He is a practicer during the tournament.
Okay.
And he really grinds it out 24/7, gym, physio, and on the course. But those guys at that level are also elite at managing themselves too, which means getting enough rest, eating correctly. Brooks and DJ were one of the first pros to basically bring their own chef to these tournaments.
Yeah.
And so instead of trying to scramble and go out and have a nice dinner at Chili's, like I did in the mini tour days, they have a chef at home preparing exactly what they need, nutrition wise.
Yeah, it's a different world now, isn't it?
It's a different world for sure.
Yeah.
But it just takes time, and golf just happens to take time. And so to me, there's a lot of correlation to military type tactics and training that I'm just fascinated by and listening to. We've had speakers speak to our staff and our team. A lot of it just relates to golf. And the problem with golfers is they just don't believe it. Right?
Do you ever have the situation where you have to get a student and just say, this program's not for you?
Have I ever fired somebody?
Yeah.
Basically, I have never really technically said this is not for you, but I've basically told even some kids, like, if you're not going to be completely focused and listen to what we're doing today, how are you going to even go to college when you're away for 8 months of the year and get something done? How's your team going to depend on you if you're on that college team? So I've made it when I have that instinct or feel like either there's something wrong with this person, either there's something, some sort of conflict, something off the course, whatever it is that's holding them back, or they just are not getting it. For sure, I'm just going to lay it out. Say this is how it's going to be. This is what it's going to take, and I can't want it more than you, right?
Yeah,
And
that's the hard part, especially as a coach, because sometimes we do want it more for them than what they want it, right? You can
yes,
see something in a kid and you're like, this kid's actually got ability and they're blowing it because they don't care or they're not, overly interested, and it's hard. It's
right.
hard to separate yourself as a coach. But
That's
look,
it. I mean, you get a lot of that in like American college football. These there's 90 kids on a team in college football. Most of them have scholarships, and those coaches on those staffs. I mean, they literally have to befriend or be son or make that kid one of their own, because in our culture and sport now, they could literally be gone the next season, and all that time and investment in that player is wasted, right? So there's just kind of this fine line you have to just kind of walk between.
yeah,
Um, you want to invite this player home to meet your family for dinner, or we're not going to take it this, not going to take it that far.
yeah,
It just kind of depends, and a lot of it basically will come down to whether they can perform on the field or not, and that's basically it. And a lot of it's attitude, a lot of it's mindset, in spite of perfect technical, mechanical type things and things like that. But a lot of it just comes down to mindset. The guys at the elite level sacrifice basically the most in their lives. And a lot of the talent on the mini tours and in college just are not willing to make the sacrifice.
it
I'm not
kind
willing
of,
to sacrifice because I got to be home at 6 o'clock every day to put the kids to bed. So
yeah,
I'm gonna wrap it up. Try to wrap it up at 5, right?
yeah,
But I understand that it takes more than that 8 to 5 type of job. 6, 7. It takes 8 days a week,
mm,
basically, to
yeah.
sacrifice.
So one of the questions that I asked, and you kind of already answered this, but I'm going to throw it out for the sake of the listeners, is, you know, there are players, i.e., your Brooks and your DJ, that just seem to be able to perform and win a lot. And then there are guys that make up the numbers, right? They're there. They're borderline keeping their cards, or, they never win anything. They're a great player, maybe at home. Then they go play events and they're just making up the numbers, right? What do you see differently in those types of guys or
There's no
girls?
question about it. They have a unbelievable sense of purpose, an unbelievable sense of management of themselves.
Yeah.
The guys that don't make it are either running away from something else or trying to make golf fill some sort of void that they need to fill. And
Yeah.
honestly, a lot of the best players pretty much know that they're best, and they just get beat by the other best players in the world. And they put in that extra work, that sacrifice. The Rory McIlroys, they put all that work in, and they still get beat. But the difference is he still gets up the next day, just like the SWAT team guy, just like the Army Ranger. He still gets up the next day and goes back to work. And a lot
Works.
of the guys that don't make it can't get out of bed the next day because they
Yeah.
can't quite reconcile, or again, they're trying to make golf fill a void or run away from something else in their life. So it's tough. There's only going to be 4 guys that win majors, or 4 major winners per year.
Yeah.
Out of basically 45 plus tournaments, there's only 4 in our sport that really matter, and that's a lot of heartbreak. That's a lot of loss, and the guys that can cope and deal with that are the guys that can persevere. You look at Shoffley. You won the Olympic medal the last Olympics, right? And I think that was more of a springboard for him coming into this season, even though he didn't win the medal this year. the winning that gold medal has got to have been able to help him get over that hump.
Yeah.
We talked about being at the Open Championship, how calm he was coming down the stretch because he basically had done it before, right? So he's lost before too. So that I think that weighs heavily too. You've won and you've lost, so being able to cope with that and being able to get up the next day. There's guys that we use in our team and in our staff training, if you will, that are SWAT team guys that have been to a school shooting, seen kids, teachers dead, right? They get up, go to work the next day. And if those guys can do it and still cope, golf should be like way easier. So the lessons learned from the military, the police, the SWAT, the fire, are things that I'm very just fascinated by and definitely touched by. And I try to put that into my coaching as well.
So does that mean you would try to really teach a lot about like compartmentalizing certain things and then just, being able to focus on certain areas where it matters and then switching off when it doesn't?
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
I don't like the word compartmentalized. That's kind of like, you still have to deal with it, right?
Yeah.
You still have to deal with, I'm not a good driver. I missed that putt. I tripled that stupid hole for whatever reason. You got to get in front of it and you got to address it because that is the obstacle that you need to be overcoming, right?
I actually like that you just said you don't like that word because I haven't spoke about this much, but like 25 years ago, I was in an armed robbery. I was working in a golf shop and someone come in with a gun. And, over the years, lots of people have said you just need to be able to, you put it to the side and this and that. And it's something I've never really got my head around. It's something I have learnt to, it might flare up and I start thinking about it and I know how to work my way out of it and deal with it. But the whole, put it in a box and forget about it type thing, I actually like hearing you say then that you don't like compartmentalizing. That's cool.
Yeah, that's part of stoicism too.
Yeah.
Obstacles away.
I've read that book. It's we'll listen to it. It's a good one. Look, and just touching on that, like I truly look at it as a way now that if that didn't happen to me, I don't think I would have learned how to deal with anxiety, emotions, panic attacks, all that sort of stuff. Now that I can help younger kids that come through my program, I can identify it so quickly if they are, and that's where I look at it. And I'm looking at it on the grateful thing now. For years I was like, God, why did this happen to me? Like, never used to care about anything, and then all of a sudden I'm that overthinker. And now I look at it and go, no, this actually happened for a reason 25 years ago.
Yeah, for sure.
In my 40s, I can use it as a part of my coaching toolbox.
Yeah, I went 8 weeks without a job because my course burned down, basically. Right?
Yeah.
And I was not prepared to not work for 8 weeks, right? But I survived, and I was able to luckily stay in golf. I think that was huge for me. Getting a call from Claude to come down here to Florida. I've dealt with people passing away suddenly in a helicopter crash. I've dealt with a tornado that hit my house back in January.
Yeah,
lost a roof, right? And so all that stuff, all that life experience can teach you, can help you at some point, right?
Yeah.
And you just have to deal with it head on. That's why I don't like to, compartmentalize, put it in a box. Not quite the way I would deal with it, but all that stuff, your life experience as a coach is what's helping you become a good coach, right?
Yeah.
Everything should help you kind of climb the ladder a little bit. Whether you think it's not helping you right now, look at yourself 10 years from now. Right?
It's all building blocks, right?
Yes, exactly. Little building blocks.
Yeah. How many hours this was it Team Flow? Is that what it was? Like the group of kids that come in and that How many hours a week are they spending at your facility? Now, two-part question.
Yep.
With the coaches around, how many hours? And then how many hours are the ones that are exceeding spending, on their golf and fitness?
Yeah. On paper, it's about 20 last year. It's going to be a little bit more this year, but it's about 20 plus. And a lot of there's at least, I'd say, majority of the team that are spending 5 to 6, 7 hours in the gym
Yeah.
per week. So it's almost, two tournament rounds a week, or 2 or 3 more casual rounds. It's 40 hours maybe at some point, which is a typical kind of 9 to 5 job.
Yeah.
But that's just that. That's just part of the stuff you do in the daylight, basically, right? A lot of your time as a golf pro, if you want to be a pro, but you definitely need the dime time for sure. But you need to be able to manage your diet, manage your mind, manage your game plan for the next season, manage your game plan for the next week, manage your game plan for the next day, manage your game plan for the next tournament round. And that literally can't be done in an 8 hour day. It just takes all week, right?
How many? What's the age group of these kids? It's obviously high school level.
No, it's primarily pros and a couple
Right.
juniors, right? So everyone's pretty much between. There's one guy, a mid-am guy that we had on the team, which was a great addition this past year. He's about 45 or so, but majority of them are about 25 years old ish, plus or minus two. And we had a couple of juniors that spent some time with us that went to high school or went to college this year, so they were seniors in high school last year.
Yeah.
One went to Notre Dame, one went to Rice, and but basically it's primarily young professionals. It's kind of like our owner calls it the flow factory. We're kind of looking for that next Brooks Koepka type, if you will. So we've been able to, number one, we're very lucky that we can do it, meaning that they do technically kind of buy out the schedule at a discount and pay a monthly fee, but they get definitely a majority of attention because we believe in them that much, that they're part of this kind of elite group. And I definitely think just coaching in a team atmosphere is missing in golf. There's a lot of things that you can leverage in a team environment, especially in college too, that you can't leverage during a 1 hour lesson or a 2 hour lesson.
And they'd be pushing and making each other rise up as well, right, throughout their practice sessions. Yeah.
Right. You're the average of everyone around you. So if we get these young professionals that are really good, kind of mix and match with a couple of juniors here and there. Those juniors really accelerated this past year. We took a kid basically who had no college offers to getting a ride to Rice University, which is not the golf powerhouse, but that's a Division I school in Texas, in Houston, Texas.
Do you have many high schoolers through the program at all? Like,
there's
a junior element as well?
There's a little bit of a junior element. I would say, I don't have the numbers in front of me, but the majority of our work is with college and professionals.
Yeah.
But there are juniors here, and especially Coach Matt Gallant has a lot of juniors. And, we're a private facility at the Floridian, and we're open to the public, but we're expensive. And there's no other way around it. We're just expensive.
Yeah.
And we kind of need to be based on, Claude's pedigree.
Yeah,
and
of
the
course.
players that he works with, and ownership as well. But, with that comes, I think, a great experience. One of the reasons we wanted to have this group of players around all the time, because you just never know when like a Brooks comes in and you can talk to him, see what he actually does. You never know when like a Richard Bland comes in and spends a few weeks with us. And he went on to win a couple of senior majors.
Yeah.
Almost out of nowhere, you would think, being a live golfer. So we're just, man, it's I'm very lucky, very grateful, but we just happen to be in the part of the world where all the best players live.
Yeah.
And that's kind of the bottom line, right? And you don't have to be a tour coach to live here in Jupiter, Florida, but man, it's definitely like one notch easier to be around those tour players here in this part of Florida.
It must be amazing to be able to wake up and go to a facility like that every day and just be around high achievers, meaning like people that just really want to be the best they can be. They're not half-assing it. I mean, there probably is a few that might be, but, you get to be around people that want to be the best version of themselves.
Exactly. And, there's business and there's memberships, like there's members that are like that too. There's, our owner is an elite businessman.
Yeah.
He owns the Houston Astros. He owns $1 billion shipping company. And he didn't inherit that. He started with one truck. And that's how his company started. So there's a lot of things that you can tap in. If you're another coach listening right now, it's not just the players sometimes. It's the everyone around you that you can kind of learn something from. And when you're at I guess we're like a prestigious golf club. So we do have a lot of great business type, multimillionaire type of members. And they have just as much to contribute to your knowledge and growth as well. So you don't want to overlook that person that's not the best golfer.
I mean, I've been in the same pretty much club job now for nearly 15 years.
Yeah.
And I will often ask questions. I could be teaching a 25 handicap member, but I know is quite successful at their business, and I will pick their brain as much as I can after the lesson, just because there might be one thing that they say that's totally unrelated to golf coaching or golf business, but you can intertwine it and figure out a way to enhance your own business or, bank balance, I guess, in the long run, so.
Yeah. A lot of it, comes down to, are you going to run your golf game like you run your business, or are you not?
Yeah.
A lot of the guys run their business one way and try to play golf the other way. And it's like, dude, what are you thinking here?
Yeah. Ryan, how important is the support of external providers? I call them that. So physio, gym, mental. How often? I know we've touched on it earlier in the chat, but we'll dedicate a little bit of the next few minutes to it. How important is that as a part of your program with all your students?
Super important, because you can't coach everything.
Yeah.
We're golf coaches, and 50 years ago, you were one voice. But, with everything that we've learned, fitness, technology, you got to have a team around you, meaning you need other experts that are on your team, meaning a fitness guy, a physio guy. Because if you can't get this guy to do that, it may not be a mind thing, it may be a physical thing.
Yeah. Agreed.
Oh, he has a broken tibia, compound fracture. That's why he can't get to his left side. Oh, wait, look at the scar on that leg. Now that makes sense, right?
Yeah.
So I can go through that in 2 minutes and kind of go through that interview process and kind of look at the guy in shorts, and I see the scar, and I'm like, okay, that's one hell of a scar on that left leg. This is a lesson a couple weeks ago. And we just start talking, right? I broke his compound fracture, broke his leg skiing, right?
Yeah.
And it was several years ago, but several years ago, that brain still registers that accident. And you look at the force plate, look at 3D, whatever, and now it correlates. Now we can say, well, I can't get you to that side because we have a physical issue. Then we go down the rabbit hole with the TPI screens, and there you go.
Yeah.
So he was just in this past couple days ago to work with our team physio and get his workout a little bit more where it needs to be. And then, we have a club fitting company that just basically has taken over our club fitting business, a company called True Spec.
Yeah.
And they basically can fit any brand for the player. So it's not just Titleist or Cobra or Puma or TaylorMade. They have it all. And they're unbiased as well. And they're able to basically figure out and identify what company was going to match this guy's needs, right? Or this player's needs. And then the mind thing, too, is for sure. I work with a mental coach. His name is Seth Pepper. Seth would be a great podcast interview for you.
I'm just writing that down, Ryan.
Yeah, find him. He's in Arizona. But Seth is he's a swimmer and became a clinical psychologist, and he specializes in performance for athletes, multiple sport athletes, and he's got some business clients too. And I'm always looking to add people to my team as a resource, and it's not just the local ones we have here. Because we have kind of a nice, kind of almost a worldwide reach with our facility.
Yeah,
I need to be able to send you out to New York or back to Chicago or back to Texas or wherever it is with a network of people that are going to help you on the ground back where you live. And so I'm always looking to add people to my network of referrals, if you will.
Yeah.
And obviously the best of the best are actually here with us. But the key thing is, there's a little bit of ego in coaching. I try to have zero ego because I know I can't do everything.
Yeah.
I have an idea of what's wrong, and I'll send you and point you to that specialist.
That's the best way to be, though, because then it's about the student getting the most out of their game, right?
Yes.
Or their development.
Again, it's, I'm trying to make that player, the team around me, as successful as we can be. And I don't want to hold anybody back, right? So I need to point and click and send you on your way to this other person to get an outside perspective or whatever it is, a specialty type of service.
All right. So obviously we have a lot of parents and kids and coaches that tune in every week to learn from the best in the world.
Yeah.
What advice would you give to a young player? Look, the last 40 to 50 minutes, you've already given this, but we'll sum it up in one answer. What advice would you give to a young player that wants to become the best they can be?
It's like a junior kid.
I always use the reference. Let's say a 14-year-old knocks on the door. He's already a scratch golfer, right?
Yep.
But he wants to be a tour player. What are you advising him that he should be doing?
You should be doing everything, including other sports.
Yeah.
Meaning, we're kind of stuck here in Florida with all this great weather all year round. But to me, like Texas is a great place because we have all 4 seasons. So it's you play golf in the summer, baseball in the spring, football in the fall, basketball in the winter. Hockey's mixed in there now too. Soccer's in the spring, I think, in Texas too. So it's like you're playing all these sports. But in golf in Florida, I can play golf all the time. Right?
Yeah.
But you're not developing those athletic skills that you just can't get in golf.
Yeah.
So one of the things, if we have a 14-year-old girl or boy, one of the things that I require, if you want to work with me, not our facility per se, but if you want to work with me, I expect you to be playing another sport.
Love it.
I don't care what it is. Tennis, swim team, volleyball team, basketball team. I want to hear about the other sports that you play.
Yeah.
Because we just know that you're not going to do it just playing golf.
Yeah.
The other thing is,
are you seeing a big trend now where a lot of parents are just specializing just in golf from 7 or 8 years old?
I would say maybe a little more so in Florida.
Yeah.
Not from where I'm from in Texas.
No.
Especially not with my kids. We got, right now, I've got basketball Tuesday nights, and I'm a flag football coach Saturday mornings. We played soccer. We got t-ball in the spring. So I'm trying to do it with my kids.
Sounds like my house.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
That's just how it should be. And you can't really specialize in golf unless you're a phenom, 16, 17. And those are like once every 25 years, right? Um, Tiger Woods being once in a lifetime, if you will. But it just takes so much time. And those other sports are literally growth accelerators. And if you
Yeah.
just play golf, you're just throwing on the brakes and you're just going to have this nice, gradual, incremental improvement, but you're not going to have the explosive improvement that you would get from playing other team sports, which is why we have a
Yeah.
team. You got to have a team sport. You got to be able to win. Got to be able to lose. Got to be able to cope. You got to
I
be able
love
to
it.
compete, right? So be prepared to put in the extra work that's required. It's sacrifice. You're going to have to give up a lot, but it's just going to take so long, and you're not going to really know. It's like if you want to go play Division I college golf, you're not going to know who you're going to play for until like the moment you sign.
Yeah.
And you can commit early, you can verbally commit early, but I'm telling you, a lot of things happen. And nothing really gets started until you start winning. And it doesn't matter what level you win at. Whether it's your junior tour in your local section and you're competing against 8 other players, a win is a win. Right?
Correct.
So trying to play in a national event and missing a cut or coming in 50th, that's a great experience. But going back home to your local section, playing those little high school tournaments, winning those little events, those are the building blocks that help accelerate the growth.
Hmm.
And so a lot of the kids, especially in America, get are so upset with like a 40th or 30th finish. And they think college coaches are literally going down the scoreboard and say, oh, I'm going to cross him off. He
Yeah.
shot 82, 76. I'm telling you, the college coaches have so much to deal with. What they look at is, okay, who won last week? Boom, 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 boom. Who won on the AJGA last week? Like 6 or 7 kids. Okay, I'm going to put a note next to them. So it
Yeah.
really doesn't matter until you win something.
Yeah.
And once you start winning, you start to learn how to win. And whether it's another sport, it doesn't matter. It's still learning how to win. And that's a skill that you have to learn. And so the ones that literally make it are the ones that have won at multiple sports, multiple levels, and they just continue that learning curve.
Yeah. I love it.
That's it. And it
All right.
just takes forever.
So yeah, it does. I mean, I'm a big believer in that. I think I don't know if I mentioned this to Claude, but like the amount of times I've heard I'm going to give them till they're 18
Oh,
and
yeah.
then they can just go and get a real job because we don't have the college system here. There are kids that come
Right.
over and play college golf, but I always sort of go, well, actually it was Grant Field who is Cameron Smith's coach, and Grant said, like, don't bother. Like, if you're only going to give them till they're 18, don't even bother the next 2 years. Like, just
They've done growing.
yeah, yeah. All right, so that was advice for the kid that turns up. What about the person standing next to them, the parent? Because
Yes.
you would have a fair few. Is there any advice for you as a coach who's been around it for decades, what
Yeah.
you'd pass on to the parents?
Yes. Number one, you got to be the biggest cheerleader no matter what. Meaning, a cheerleader never criticizes,
Yeah. Yeah.
never pushes. You have to take him to batting practice late at night, pick him up at basketball practice late at night. And if they decide on their own that, Dad, I really don't enjoy playing basketball, I'm okay.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna pin all my hopes on my kid, my daughter, to be the best basketball player now or in the future. I want them to be happy and successful in whatever they can do or whatever they want to do. And so the parent, all you have to do is just provide the opportunity. What's affordable is what's affordable. Is it a one tournament a month thing? Whatever it is. But if your kid wants to do it, then you just have to be the biggest cheerleader and let them do it. You got to take them on the road. You got to pick them up late at night, whatever it is. Drop them off early in the morning.
Yeah.
Whatever it is. You have to expose them to everything you want them to be. But then even when they're 5 or 6, they're going to say, you know, Dad, Mom, I just not want to go to basketball practice. And we can go say, hey, let's just try it one more time and see what happens.
Yeah. Because you know,
can't-
I've always been big on that whole let them be the driver of their own ship, right? They're the ones that they've got to own it. I'm just seeing a trend the last 3 or so years, 4 years, where kids they just seem to be getting really lazy. Like the world is so convenient on their phone now. They can, you just picked up your iPad, right? They just want to, and it's kind of, I had this conversation with my sister yesterday about her 13-year-old cricket. Sure, you've heard of it. Big sport over here.
Oh, yeah.
Like, you know, he was her 13-year-old son last year didn't want to play, and they said, "Oh, how about we just tell them you can fill in when needed?" Goes on to be the best bowler in the conference, right?
Yeah.
For that year, best bowler in the conference for under 13s. This year, don't want to do it again. And I said to her flat out yesterday, like, I reckon he is addicted to Fortnite, and he's just looking at it as like, there's 3 or 4 hours a week that I'm going to lose. And, you know, she's the same as me, that kind of let them do their own thing, be supportive as much as they want it. But I'm starting to think now, is there a point where you've got to give them that nudge like, hey, man, you're going to regret this in 10 years if you don't actually get off your butt right now?
Yeah. Tough.
Because it wasn't when you and I were kids, like,
We were outside.
yeah, or you'd read a magazine if you're like, and it was a golf magazine, or, you know, like I still just think now there is just so much, everything is easy. They just pick up the phone and anything they want, they can have within 5 seconds, basically.
Yes.
We never had that.
Yes. But I wouldn't say it's, you know, there's plenty of other people that are smarter than me on this topic, but I wouldn't
Yeah,
say
of course.
it's lazy. I wouldn't say it's lazy. I would just say it's distraction.
Yeah.
And the distractions are unbelievable versus when I was growing up in 1983, 84,
Yeah.
right? When Atari was coming out. And that was like game changing, right? But there's so many distractions.
It's a
And
different
those
world now.
distractions are on the phone, etc. And you know, locally here, they're banning schools, or the schools are banning cell phones in sight, if you will. So it's like
So this high school program that I coach, they have these like pocket things they got to put them in, and when they walk into school, I believe they have to scan it and it locks it, and they can't get it until they leave the school. It's like a pencil case, but it's like they can't pull it out in class. And yeah, I think it's a great idea.
yeah, that's pretty cool. But yeah, it's to me, there's so many distractions.
Yeah,
However, I mean, if you listen to like a Gary Vaynerchuk, you know, if my kid is like devoted to video games, then I'm gonna say, okay, he's gonna either, you know, create
yeah,
video games, he's gonna be a video game. There's a video game pro tour in
yeah.
America. You know, at some point we have to decide, is it a distraction or is it something that can
Is it
benefit
a
them?
passion?
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's
So
funny, you know, because I remember about 5 or 6 years ago saying to the kids in my program, you know, you're never going to get anywhere with video games, blah, blah, blah. And they're like, you know, you can make money out of it now. And I was like, oh, shit, I didn't. And then, you know, I love Gary Vee. And I guess it is that hard thing to balance now. Like, do you let them just sit around and do it? Or, yeah, anyway, that's a whole other podcast. How do you guide your players through, like, plateaus or setbacks?
um, yeah,
It's golf, right?
golf. The biggest challenge I have, especially with the pros, is trying to keep things the same.
Yeah.
Um, Setbacks, I mean, setbacks are what we need basically to learn from. Failure is what we need to learn from so we can make that jump to the next level.
Yeah.
So that's definitely a differentiator with the best of the best. Is they haven't won every tournament. They've won a lot, but they haven't won every tournament. And they've lost a lot of big ones too. And they've been able to cope and deal and learn from those big time failures and setbacks and plateaus, if you will. Right. So um, I can go through a lesson for, let's say, 45 minutes and not say one goddamn thing about the swing or anything. Meaning that we don't need to change anything today. The reason we're not, reaching our peak is just because we're just not reaching our peak right now. And whether it's a junior that's grown like a foot in the past year or so, or whether it's a professional that's, missing cuts, we just need to break it all down, learn from it, and just have that patience and wait for it type of mentality, if you will, on the course. There's got to be patience.
I love it. Mate, we'll just about wrap this up. Couple questions. Obviously, for the coaches that are listening and would love to one day be doing something like you're doing, what is some advice that you could give those younger coaches that have aspirations for being a high-level coach? What would you tell them they need to get in order to succeed?
There's some fundamentals you need to do first, for sure. Number one, I would say you have to go to Top Performance Institute and get certified. Do all those levels, golf pro levels. There's 3 of them. Maybe throw in the junior level. And if you get really crazy, you can maybe throw in the fitness and the medical side of things just so you know the terminology. But basically, to me, that was a turning point. Going to TPI in 2003. That was a turning point for me. Seeing the screens, the technology, etc. So you need to have that, that fundamental level of the body swing connection. And to me, there's no other organization or people that teach it like the guys at TPI do.
I love it. Yeah.
You got to do that first. And then the next part is you got to go out there and just coach. And that just takes a hard work, meaning you got to kind of hustle a little bit. When you're first starting, you have to, those 7-8 hour lessons a day, that's kind of your master's degree or your thesis. Right. You got to do it. You got to figure out a way how to start a lesson, get through a lesson, and wrap it up. And it just takes a lot of practice and it takes a lot of work. And when I started coaching on my own after Claude had left in the summer of 2006. That was a long time ago. And I still think there's things I can improve on.
Yeah.
And back then, I didn't do a 3-hour lesson. It was all kind of hourly, maybe playing lessons, your basic stuff. And that's just kind of how you start. You got to get out there and learn how to build a rapport. If you go to counseling, or if you go to get your psych degree or a counseling degree, that's part of your training is learning how to build a rapport. And so, maybe getting a degree in psychology could help you in college, either online or not. But I think that definitely helped me for sure.
Yeah.
But you have to actually go to people and help them. And for some, that takes a lot of practice. It's not like you're preaching, though. You want to make sure that they actually, if there's one piece of advice I would say is you never want to coach someone who doesn't ask you for help.
Yeah.
You just don't want to say, hey, you need to fix that. You want to kind of either talk to them for a little bit and say, hey, how's it going? How's your game? Let them ask you, so what do you think of this? And then that's your entry into the lesson, or that's your door that you want to open and go down.
Yeah.
So
Love
that's
it. That's great advice. All right, just as we wrap this up, what do you believe would be the best piece of advice you've been given in life or golf that you could pass on
yeah,
to the listeners?
yeah. You gave me that question. I haven't come up with the perfect answer yet, but I could say, uh, I got a speech coming up in October at the TPI Summit.
Saw that, yeah.
Claude's speaking on Friday. I'm speaking on Saturday, and so I've been doing a lot of kind of speech prep, if you will. And when I go to speech prep, I go to Simon Sinek. You know who he is?
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah. So uh, his whole thing start with the why, right? I think someone who's listened to or watched his speech at TEDx, that's kind of how his career started right there. That speech is he's like his first foray into his business now, right? So Simon Sinek, if you don't know who he is, he's basically a consultant. He coaches people and businesses to be better, right? So he's a business consultant. But his first thing was start with the why, right? And so when the basic example was, a lot of coaches start with the what. Hey, I've got a TrackMan. Come take a lesson. Hey, I've been TPI certified. Come take a screen. Hey, I just got, whatever it is that I've just done, I'm here to coach you, right?
Yeah.
So with Simon, it's the opposite. And you start with the why, meaning, why are you coaching? So, for me, it's basically, I want to make everyone around me successful. That's my why. So that starts with, my wife and kids at home. Starts with Claude at work, my other coaches at work. What do I need to do? Whether it's menial, whether it's big, what do I need to do to have you have a successful day today? So my job is to make the people around me successful. I happen to be a golf coach in the golf business. Do you want a lesson now? Right?
Yeah.
Instead of, hey, I got a TrackMan come by, I got 3D come by. So start with the why. I recommend that speech to anybody who wants to start any business, if you will, especially if you have to get up and speak in front of a couple hundred people. It's just a great way to kind of ground yourself and learn how the great speakers have gone throughout history. It's like the Martin Luther King speech in America. It's not the Martin Luther King, I have a plan speech. It's the Martin Luther King, I have a dream speech. And that's kind of where the start with the why concept comes from. And that's kind of my why. For me to succeed is I need everyone around me to succeed or be better, whether it's per day or for a career. Whether it's the head pro at my club, whether it's the GM at my club, whether it's Claude, whether it's the owner of whatever it is, whatever they need me to do for them to be successful, that's kind of my job. And I just happen to be a golf coach.
I love it. Mate, thank you so much for coming on and sharing your wisdom.
It was fun.
Well, I hope you enjoyed that episode just as much as I did. Truly appreciate having you as a listener to my show. If you could head to wherever you listen to your podcast and give this show a score out of 5 or a review, I'd truly appreciate it. And also share it with as many people as you can. This is truly starting to get right around the world, and I appreciate every single one of you.